Okay, all right. Well, welcome everyone. It's wonderful to see so many people here tonight. Thank you for taking the time to join in with us. My name is Whitney War. I'm so blessed to be a Diamond Ambassador with Plexus Worldwide here in beautiful Southern Utah. So many blessings. And I just want to talk about, yes, Aaron, I will be sharing this recording, no worries. We want to get the word out and get this information out to as many people as possible, because the truth is thyroid imbalance impacts so many people nowadays. And it's just, this has been on my heart lately because I've been helping so many people, and we're seeing this impacting, even children, male, female. There's such an epidemic, and there's so much hope and so much opportunity for natural options and different things that can really improve people's lives. So I'm very grateful for my friend Jonelle Hughes, who is a master herbalist, a holistic health coach, and she has the most incredible thyroid testimonial herself. I've also asked my friend Terry Brown to jump on and share a quick testimonial. I'm really excited that we'll get to hear from her as well. And so we've got some good stuff for you tonight. I'm going to leave some time at the end for Q&A. And so really quickly, let me tell you how to use the chat option if you're new to Zoom. If you're on a laptop or I believe a tablet, you have a chat option at the bottom menu. So if you hover towards the bottom, even if you're on your phone, it's going to be a little different. You won't see the chat option, but I believe you'll click on participants and then you'll see the chat option. So right now I'm going to invite all of our guests that are here. If you are a guest, which means you are not already a Plexus customer or a Plexus ambassador, if you will please type guest in the chat and who invited you here. I would like to make sure that we get you a sample, and so if you can just type guest and then who invited you, then we'll do our best to make sure everyone gets a sample tonight or after tonight, okay? So let's go ahead and get started. Again, thank you for being here. I would like to invite Terry, first of all, to share a quick 3-minute testimonial. We're going to try to finish this within 30 minutes. So just sit back and relax. And if you think of any questions, if you'll just jot them down so you don't forget them, and then we'll address those at the end. And we'll make sure that we get a chance to answer all your questions, okay? So Terry, if you can take it away, my friend, I'll try to pin your video if I can find you here.
Hi, everyone. Can you hear me okay?
Yep, sound great.
Okay. So I was super nervous when Whitney asked me. There is 100 people on here, so that's amazing. And especially to tell my thyroid story in 3 minutes, but I'm going to do the best I can. In fact, I wrote some little notes here just to make sure that I don't repeat myself. But jumping on really quick on this is about 8.5 years ago is when I was diagnosed with Hashimoto's. I came with all the symptoms of a hypothyroid, but the biggest one I would probably say would be fatigue. I was so tired, and I couldn't even catch up on that. I just was so tired. And so as soon as I went to the doctor, they put me on levothyroxine. My lab showed my thyroid was very irritated. The ultrasound showed it as well, so it was very definite that I had Hashimoto's. So they put me on levothyroxine and liothyronine, and I was on that for 7 years. It never really helped me, I feel like. It's just a little Band-Aid to put it on to, just keep stable. But I still never felt wonderful.
And of course, the meds gave you all the side effects too, and it's not good for your heart. And so when about towards the end of 7 years, they took me off leothyronine because I was having some heart issues. And so I just thought, okay, well, I'll stick with my levo. And enter Plexus. I took the triplex, and about 4 months into it, for about a week, I was not on it, and I had to do my labs. And so when I went in, I told her, I am so sorry, I forgot to renew my medication, so I don't know what it's going to show on my lab work. And she said that it looked amazing, and I was completely shocked. After 7 years of being on meds, to hear something like that was just amazing. So she said, whatever you're doing, keep doing it, and come back in 5 weeks. And I did. I came back in 5 weeks, and she looked at it and was like, this is still amazing. Keep doing what you're doing. And I said, well, you know what it is. You know, and so of course I had to tell her what it is. And she's like, well, that's just awesome. Keep doing it. So I did. And, you know, here it is a year later, almost 2 years later that I've been taking it. And I've already had a year checkup, and it was totally fine. My thyroid was still good and normal. And then I even went back for a 1.5 year checkup. And not only was my thyroid completely fine and balanced and a 2.0, which is really, really good, my cholesterol had dropped 30 points as well. And anybody that has hypothyroid has cholesterol issues. And so I could never get my cholesterol down. So that was a complete bonus for me to see that my cholesterol dropped 30 points. So anyways, that's a 3-minute nutshell, right? Did I do okay, Whitney?
I love it.
I mean, honestly, like, I'm so grateful for Plexus. I'm so grateful that I don't have to be on medication. And yeah, so there you go.
Thank you so much for sharing that, Terry. That is just beautiful. I love those stories of hope, and it's just gives me chills every time I hear it. Thank you for sharing. So, okay, well, we're going to turn the time over now to John L. Hughes, and we'll start with her story. She's got an awesome story for you to hear as well, and then she's just going to kind of go into some of, you know, explaining the science of why these supplements are so effective in balancing our bodies and helping your thyroid. And so we'll squeeze some time in for Q&A afterwards, but she's got a lot of great info to share. So if you'll just save your questions until, actually, you know what, if you want to go ahead and start typing your questions into the chat now, that way I can kind of keep track of them. And so as soon as she's done sharing her information, then we can already have some questions ready for her. So we will go ahead and go to that point. And again, if you are a guest, if you're just joining in, type guest in the comments and who invited you, okay? Thank you, and I'll turn it over to John L.
Great. I'm gonna try and look at the camera, not my face. Really big. My face. There.
It's a pretty beautiful face. We love it.
I have to cough really quick. Sorry.
Quite all right.
I am so happy to be here with Whitney and all of you. Terry, I love your story, and I love Terry. She's just a wonderful, wonderful lady. I love her. Thank you for sharing. You did wonderful. So yeah, putting your story in a nutshell is hard, but I did mine. I'm a history buff timeline type of person, so I did it by timeline. So my story, I'm 45 years old, and about 9 years ago or so, I was not feeling well. Go back. Sorry, I should have started with 21 years ago. After my second baby, I have 6 kids ranging in 24 all the way to 5. So a big span of 18 years of having kids with twins in the middle. And 21 years ago, after my second baby, I was diagnosed with Crohn's and IBS, fibromyalgia, and chronic fatigue syndrome. and I was told I would have them forever, and I just need to go on medication and to accept my diagnosis. And I grew up very holistically, and that just wasn't an answer I was willing to accept. So I started on my own personal road to holistic health, sought out holistic health practitioners, and in about 2 years' time, and in finding that out and going to the holistic care practitioners, the root of my problem, my diagnosis, was systemic candida throughout my whole entire body, my blood, my skin, my organs, everything. That was the cause of those diagnoses. So in about 2 years' time, after doing lots and lots of stuff and spending lots and lots of money, I started to feel better and started to come back to life, because I was tired, fuzzy mentally, and literally just surviving, not thriving at all. And within 2 years, I got better. I started to feel better. After 4 years, I had my twins, and just going along with life, thinking, you know, I'm tired, it's normal, I have a bunch of kids. And then fast forward to about 9 years ago, 2011, I knew things were not feeling right. I knew something was wrong. I basically self-diagnosed myself with Hashimoto's. And so I said a prayer, and I Googled, and I found an endocrinologist. In fact, she asked me, she said, how'd you find me? I said, Google and a prayer. And that's how I found her. And she was wonderful. She listened to me. She was very supportive of my holistic side. She ran all the tests on my thyroid, not just one level, but all the hormone levels. And just so you know, tonight, we're going to talk a little bit about my story. We're going to talk about how the thyroid works, and then why Plexus works to help the thyroid. Those are my 3 parts. Anyway, she ran all the levels, and basically what happens when you have thyroid issues is you're not absorbing minerals or vitamins. So literally my blood work came back, and I had 0 vitamin B in my body, 0. And she said, I can't even believe you're actually walking around. And my husband was with me. She goes, I can't even believe, like, she's standing here. She should be in bed, like, asleep. Like, her body should not even be moving with 0 vitamin B. And it gave me a lot of validation to say, I'm not crazy. Something really is wrong with me. I was diagnosed with Hashimoto's. I have a goiter on the left side of my thyroid, and a big one and a small one on the other side. And she did a needle biopsy. Wasn't cancer, most of them aren't, but inside that goiter, my body had tried to protect itself, and inside was the Hashimoto's of that goiter. And so her answer was to put me on synthetic thyroid. There's 2 names it usually goes by: levothyroxine, which I always call Levo, and Synthroid. And that's what she knew what to do. And so that was her answer, is to get me on those, get it manageable, help my thyroid produce, you know, hormones again so that my body could function, all of those things. And I wasn't okay with going on synthetic. And so I had come to her with a counter offer. I had researched, my mom has thyroid issues, and she'd always, she's 86, and she's been on Armour thyroid, which is a natural desiccated thyroid, which we're going to talk about, for like the last 30 years, and she's done well on it. So I said, I've done my research. I want to go on something called Thyroid. It's a natural desiccated thyroid, but you do need a prescription for it. Will you write me that prescription? And she sat down with me right that day, researched it, and wrote me the prescription. And it was really, really cool, because she listened to me, and she did the work for us to work together. So I went on that, and I started feeling better and better and better. I got my blood work checked every 6 weeks. I'm doing well. And then I started to feel so good, and I'm a master herbalist, so I'm doing all the herbs, I'm doing all the things, right? And I'm feeling better and better and better. And I start to feel so good that I go off everything. Why? I don't know why. So I went off everything, and after some time, started to crash again. So I went back, and it was kind of a back and forth. And then we were trying to have our 6th baby. Couldn't get pregnant, fertility issues, had never had fertility issues, miscarriages, had never experienced those, multiple miscarriages. And I just knew things were bad. And so went back on the Thyroid, went back on all the stuff I needed to do, got pregnant, had a baby, still a hot mess, like had 0 energy, 0 anything. So in 2017, I had a full adrenal crash. I'd had one before, so I knew what it felt like. It means you want to literally sleep all day. And you think, oh, if I just get a couple more hours of sleep, I'll feel better. No amount of sleep helps. You are walking dead. That's what I call it. I knew what this felt like. I'd been in it before. And so I put together a protocol for myself and started to do it because that's what worked before. And this time it wasn't working anymore. And I switched things up, wasn't working. Switched things up again, wasn't working. So in comes my friend, who I love, Nicole, and I had ignored her about plexus for over a year. And then when I asked her about it, I finally asked her about it after a year. Then I ignored her 7 more months before I was desperate. And I called her up, and she was ready, and I was ready, and she helped me. And within, I always say I started to feel different at first, but 4 months was my magic mark. It was the mark where I literally felt like I came alive again. Like I woke up from a deep, deep sleep and came alive. I wanted to go hike with my kids. I wanted to go do things I'd always wanted to do, but literally had a gas tank that would kind of hit empty at 3 o'clock each day, and then I was done for, if even that. So my mind came alive again, my body came alive again, and it was just amazing, and it continued to progress. At my 1-year mark with plexus, I had full blood work done again with my endocrinologist, and she said, you technically don't have Hashimoto's anymore. I don't even know how this is possible. You technically don't have any thyroid issues at all anymore. All your levels are completely steady. All your levels are so strong. And the other thing was, at the point when I started plexus, I was pre-diabetic. She goes, you're so far from being pre-diabetic, you're not even close. Nothing. There's nothing. I was a little low on vitamin D, and that was about it. My B levels were beautiful. She kept using the word beautiful. And I walked out of there and I thought I was like walking on clouds. I knew I felt better. I knew all of those things, but sometimes that proof is really, really, really nice to see. So that's my story in a nutshell. I have now been on plexus 2.5 years, and my levels have completely sustained themselves. I do not technically have Hashimoto's anymore. I still have these goiters in my neck. They have not grown at all in the last 8 years. So they've stayed steady. They don't bother me, so I don't even notice they're there. And I just kind of feel so blessed and so amazed that something that I was told I would always have and always suffer and struggle with, that technically I don't. So huge blessing for me. So let's go in and talk about how our thyroid works really quick. I know everyone knows it's right about here, and it looks like a butterfly. And I think of it as like my little butterfly shield. And part of the process of me healing my thyroid was talking to it every day. And that might sound really funny, but I would rub it with essential oils and I would be like, you are so beautiful. I love you. You work so well. I'm so proud of you for giving me all the hormones I need. And I would just like butter my thyroid up with positive thoughts and positive affirmations and love for this part of my body that for a long time I hated. So I had to make up for all the hate. I had to talk to it beautifully and make it feel better. And that, honestly, we're going to talk briefly about that. The emotional counterpart of healing is the emotional part of feeling good and talking good and speaking love to our bodies. So our thyroid sends hormones throughout our whole body. It's like this beacon. It's called the master gland. And it sends these hormones throughout our whole body. And when there's a disruption, it literally disrupts the force of our body. Any Star Wars fans? I'm a huge Star Wars fan. It disrupts the force. And our body just, it literally, you know, if you're a Star Wars fan, when Rey is like, you know, and she's moving something and concentrating, and then she lets go and it crashes, that's what our body does. That's exactly what our body does when this master gland isn't working right and isn't using the force. It causes many health issues. weight issues, lethargic, fatigue, fuzzy brain, hot and cold. My hands and feet would feel normal to the touch and be freezing cold. In the winter, I would have to take a bath. And you guys, I live in Vegas. Doesn't get super cold here. It's cold for us, but I would take a bath right before I went to bed so my feet were warm so they didn't freeze before I got into bed, because I could not control my body temperature. I had no control over my body temperature. And then your body begins to attack your thyroid. So it thinks immune system wise that it's an invader, and so it starts to attack it to kill it. So our own bodies attack it thinking it's an invader, and our body's just so messed up, that's what it believes. And so there's different levels of thyroid issues. Some are moderate thyroid issues, some are Hashimoto's, Graves'. I'm not going to get super specific tonight because they have different issues that go along with them. You know, Graves' is that your body makes too much thyroid hormone. Hashimoto's is when your body doesn't make enough. The thing is, in plexus, the answer is going to be the same. So it doesn't matter what you have. It doesn't matter if you have neither of those and you just have a sluggish thyroid. It doesn't matter. The relief and the cure, I shouldn't say that word. What helps is going to be the same, because you're going to the root issue, and we're going to talk about that. So what happens with that thyroid is it gets inflamed and irritated, and it's just on fire basically with inflammation. What's the cause? What causes it? It's estimated that around 40 to 60% of women have thyroid issues in our day and age. And they are being seen, some babies are born with thyroid issues, and we're seeing them in children. We're seeing them a lot more in men and boys than we ever have before. So what's the cause? This is a little bit of my own research and belief, along with some scientific facts, is poor diet lacking in nutrients. We don't have the nutrients in our soil like we used to. Even if you're eating organic, they're washing everything, which we get a lot of our good bacteria from this good soil. So it's not colonizing in our gut properly. We're eating low fat and low calorie, which both of those things our bodies need. We need calories, we need good fats to be able to process for our thyroid. It's food for our thyroid. So low fat, low calorie diets are basically killing our thyroid. We have an unhealthy gut. We have candida issues, which is the root cause. It is, I believe, gut issues are the root cause of everything. So that's at the bottom root of this tree of issues is the candida and the gut imbalance. We have toxins. We have chemicals we put on our body. We have chemicals in our homes that we're using to clean with. We have Glade plugins, things like that are, don't get me started on my soapbox, but those are toxic to our whole endocrine system, especially our thyroid, toxic to really basically any system. It's basically pumping chemicals in the air. We have chemicals in the air outside. We have all of these different things have gathered, and like they accumulate in our bodies and they affect our thyroid. Medications, fake sugar, any synthetic sugars, fake food. One of the biggest things too is emotional distress and stress. It's thought that in this day and age, we have more of that than we ever have before. And just to touch on the emotional level really quick, there's an emotional root to every physical ailment. And that's something I believe with all of my heart. And every person I've ever worked with, it is the truth. We are created spiritually before we're created physically. And so one of the things associated with our thyroid is not speaking our truth, not speaking how we feel, feeling like we can't talk about things, withholding our emotions, all of those things. And they kill this thyroid because the energy surrounding it that comes from our spirit and our heart and our emotions, it's not good. It's stagnant. And we might feel like we have good energy up to this point, and then we feel like we're censored. If we ever feel like we're censored, a lot of people, if they were told as a child to be quiet a lot, or they were too loud, or things like that, or if you feel like you don't express yourself well and you're really hard on yourself and you're telling yourself that what you say doesn't matter, affecting this. So that's a hard truth, because that's something we have to look at. And there's a really great book called You Can Heal Your Life by Louise Hay. And if any of this emotional stuff I'm talking about resonates with you, I would highly suggest getting that book. I have some affirmations for that I'll leave you with too. So what happens with our thyroid? People say, oh, well, it needs iodine. It doesn't have iodine. And so they take an iodine supplement. Taking an iodine supplement for a thyroid that's struggling is like throwing gasoline on a fire. It's going to inflame your thyroid like nobody's business, and it is not the answer. What the answer is one of the root problems is your body is not absorbing minerals and vitamins. And that's why I had miscarriages. I couldn't sustain a pregnancy because my body was trying to pull that from it to try and sustain this fetus, and it couldn't. So it terminated the pregnancy. So once my body could absorb the nutrients, I could sustain a pregnancy. So that's why we don't just throw an iodine supplement in there. Don't do that, okay? Synthetic versus natural thyroid, like I said, levothyroxine and Synthroid are the synthetic thyroid supplements. And then there's like Nature Throid and Armor. Those are desiccated desiccated hormones that come from a pig. So they actually take pig thyroid and they freeze dry it and they break it up and they make it, and our bodies really assimilate it well because it recognizes it as nutrients. Whereas the synthetic hormones, Levo and Synthroid, our body recognizes it as a chemical. And so it's just like Terry said, a Band-Aid. It works while it's right in your body, and then once you eliminate, it's like this. You know, when your phone's about to die and you still have like 2%, and so you can still do stuff, but it starts to get really sluggish and like shut down apps. That's basically what your body's doing every day on the synthetic thyroid, is it's trying to work and trying to sustain, and then it crashes. And then you take it again and it tries to sustain, and then it crashes. Whereas with the natural thyroid supplements, and right now I don't take any thyroid supplements, I only do Plexus because I don't need to. My body is sustaining those levels without that, that supplement. But with the natural ones, Nature Throid and Armor, our body says, oh, I recognize this. I know what this is. Oh, my body used to make this. I recognize it, and it wakes your thyroid up. And that's what happened with me. My thyroid woke up and it was like, oh, I used to make these hormones. I know what this feels like. I recognize this. Okay, I'm gonna start making them again. And that's what it did. My body recognized it, it used it, started to make it again so that I didn't need it anymore, because then my body was sustaining itself. So that's the difference between natural and the chemical, okay? Sorry, I know we're going over time. I could talk literally for hours on this, so I'm wrapping up.
We could listen to you for hours, but we've got some really good questions here that I'm hoping that we can address. And if we do go a few minutes over, I mean, anyone's welcome to leave if they need to, but if you want to hang out, we do have some great questions. And I was hoping that, you know, if you, can you hang for a few minutes longer, Jonelle, and answer these? Okay. All right. I'm just going to run through them. If you can answer them as quickly as possible, let's try to cover all of these if possible. First one that everyone wants to know, which Plexus products do you recommend for thyroid? And it's going to be the same, just so you know, it's going to be the same for hypo and hyper, correct, Jonelle?
Yep. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to that next part, and I'm going to talk about why Plexus works really quick, and what I took and what anyone that has a thyroid issue can take to help.
Okay, great.
So one of the biggest things for thyroid issues is the depletion of selenium and B12. And so in our products, in Plexus products, there's a great amount of selenium and the B vitamins as well. So what I started out taking was the triplex, which is pink drink. I started out on X Factor Plus, which sometimes they say original X Factor is better for those with autoimmune disorders. I actually take both now. I take X Factor Plus or X Factor at night and X Factor Plus in the morning, one of each. That's just what my body says it wants, so I listened, okay? So I started on the pink drink, started on BioCleanse, which is an amazing source of magnesium. Anything that you can get in your body, mineral and vitamin wise for your thyroid is necessary, because you are literally, it's been depleted so badly, you literally do have to supplement it well. And that's why it takes some time for you to recognize some things sometimes, because your body has to absorb, use, and get used to it. And then you're like, get to a level where you're like, oh, I'm feeling better. And it's because your body is holding those levels, okay? So BioCleanse, the magnesium was fantastic. Also, one of the big issues that stresses a body is constipation, or not going often, going too much, and so BioCleanse regulates that. ProBio 5 is the other one I took. That's our, it kills the candida with the enzyme, gives us some really good gut flora, good probiotics. And one of the big issues with our body, again, with thyroid, is the roots candida. So if you're killing the candida and then supplementing with good probiotics, you're feeling a lot better. So those 3 I started with, plus the X Factor, which is our multivitamin. And I also started on Ease soon after, because a thyroid issued body is an inflamed body. And I haven't solved my weight issue that I feel I have. There's weight I would definitely like to lose, but I can look at myself and see a difference in the inflammation in my body. This ring I used to not be able to wear. I can now like twist it around. My face looks different to me. I see the inflammation has gone down in my body. I feel different in my clothes, even though I haven't lost weight. So that's a big thing, was Ease. I still use Ease every day. I love Ease. I love the vitamins that it gives me. It also has the selenium in it and amazing omegas. Okay. Also,
I hate to interject, but I know we're going to get a lot of this. They want to know which Slim you recommend and how many ProBio 5.
So I started out with the Slim microbiome, and that's what I took for 9 months, and it worked for me. I currently take Slim HC just because I prefer it. I started out very slow. Keep in mind, I was in a full adrenal crash and health crisis when I started. It took me 9 months to get up to 3 ProBio. So I went very slow, because if I tried to go up too soon, my body could not handle it. If you can go up to more faster, great. Work with your person really closely so that you do not overburden your body, especially if you're starting in a place where I was. You're going to need to be really careful with that, but don't be afraid of it. Don't be afraid to go up. Each time I went up, I had about a week of detox that wasn't horrible. Some headaches, some just feeling tired and just kind of not great, but it wasn't horrible. It was totally doable. And I do believe why it wasn't horrible and why it was doable is because I was taking Ease, and Ease buffers detox so well.
But you would recommend going up to at least 4 ProBio 5 for an aggressive dose.
I would.
Yeah. Some
sure.
people even prefer to do more, but work up slowly, like she said, would be our recommendation. And how many E's, if you can just throw that in there, because I know that you promote a loading dose on the E's.
Right. I started out taking 2-3 times a day, and I'm not good 3 times a day anything. I'm an AM PM girl, so I take AM and PM. So I started then taking like 4 in the morning, 4 at night. My maintenance dose of Ease right now is 3 to 4, but for a long time, probably about 9 months, there were times I went up to 9. It varied. Ease is only going to help you. So the thing is, if you're not noticing much with Ease, you're probably not taking enough. And some people think, oh, 9, oh my gosh. Keep in mind, Ease is green-lipped mussel, bromelain, selenium. Is going to crash your body. Ease is a supporter. It's a natural anti-inflammatory. So it's not going to crash your body. We think of amounts and we get scared because we think of medication. It's not like that. So my magic number for a long time was 9 a day.
Love that. Okay. Are we able to jump into these questions real quick? Are you ready for that? Okay. I'm going to go in order of, I think, the ones that are going to be, most helpful. And I'm sorry if we don't get to all of them. So the next question that they wanted to know best time to take thyroid meds along, like, with food and Plexus products. How would you
Okay.
recommend spacing?
That's a great question. I want to say that if you are currently on a synthetic thyroid and want to get off, you need to work with your doctor. You should not go off cold turkey. It is not good for you. Your body, your thyroid can't handle it, and you will actually do more harm than good. So you need to go to your doctor. In fact, I was going to mention Nicole, who we all know. She switched from synthetic to nature Thyroid, and it took her a while to balance out her levels, and she worked with her doctor, but now has totally normal levels. So you need to work with your doctor. They'll probably wean you off slowly as they add in the natural, and that's how you need to go. Do that. Do not take it into your own hands. Don't go cold turkey. And if you're on synthetic thyroid right now, you need to space it 4 hours from anything else. If you're on nature Thyroid or Armor, it's 30 minutes. No food, no drink.
And can we also add, coffee is really important too, right? Space thyroid meds from coffee.
You must. Yeah, anything with caffeine in it, you have to space it because it will affect your absorption of your thyroid meds. And the thing is, people say, oh, well, I'm taking it, it's in my body. But if you're taking it with something, and even with food, disrupts the absorption, you're not going to get the full effect. So that's why the spacing. The spacing is different also because chemicals take a lot more to absorb because our bodies really don't absorb them. They kind of just kick them around and see where they can fit because they don't recognize them. Whereas the natural, our body's like, oh, this is good. Takes about 30 minutes to absorb.
Now, Tony's mentioned on here that her doctor, or he or she, I don't know, on Tony, I apologize, that Armor was a concern that could cause heart problems?
I have never heard that. I have never heard any substantiated claims that natural thyroid can cause any sort of problems. I will tell you that doctors don't like it for 2 reasons. One, they cannot regulate it. So they can't say, like in Synthroid, they can say, we know exactly how many milligrams is in each because it's chemical. Whereas in the nature Thyroid or the Armor, they can't really completely calculate that porcine, that pig thyroid to say, oh, there's 10 milligrams in each one of these. It's a roundabout guess, and they don't like that. However, it doesn't affect us in a bad way. It doesn't affect us adversely to not have that be exact. So that's one reason they don't like it. Also, because the FDA doesn't like it, it can be hard to get sometimes. They'll put a lot of stipulations on these compounding pharmacies that make it. And so sometimes they'll come in and they'll be like, we need to regulate this, and they'll shut them down for a time, and then you can't get it for a while. But every time they've shut them down, I've never had to wait for more than a month for mine. My doctor would give me 3 months at a time for that very reason. So you can ask for that as well.
Great. Okay, which essential oils did you rub into your thyroid when you spoke positivity and affirmations to it?
I had one specific blend that I loved. I love essential oils. The blend is from Rocky Mountain Oils, which is my favorite oil company, and it was called DNA. I can't think of the name, but if you look on there, it's DNA something. And that's the one that just spoke to me. So that was the only time I used that oil, was to put on my thyroid and talk nicely to it. Also, when I would go to my massage therapist, I would have her massage my thyroid.
Love that. Okay. No, we have a couple people that said that their thyroid is dead. One of them had it removed, and then Lori said that her thyroid was killed by taking a sorry, I lost that question. A radioactive iodine pill. Her thyroid was killed for that, and then someone else said that they had theirs removed. Would your recommendations be the same for them, or would they be different?
It would be the same, because the root of what caused the thyroid to die or to have issues in the first place still exists within your body. So my suggestion would be the same. Even if you had your thyroid removed, the essence of your thyroid is still there. That place for it is still there. Sometimes, like, I'll have people that have had their uterus taken out or whatever. the energy of that place, that thing, again, because we're created spiritually before we're created physically, it's still there. So still talk nice to that area. It's still energetically there. As far as it being killed, I don't believe anything's dead till it's dead. I believe you can rejuvenate it. It might not ever work exactly the same, and that's what good supplementation is for. And so I would definitely talk to their doctor or do the protocol with Plexus, and they're supplementing their body like they need to regardless of the situation of their thyroid.
Love that. Okay, thank you. Now, sorry, I had it here and then I lost it. We have, Kirsten wants to know, how did you get a diagnosis of systemic candida? Because most doctors won't diagnose that.
At that point, I had left all the doctors I was seeing and I went completely straight holistic care. I went to a naturopath. I did colon hydrotherapy. How I was diagnosed was the naturopath that I went to was a naturopath MD combination. They did a stool sample, which most doctors do not do. And that's one of the best ways to see candida is in a stool sample. I know that sounds really gross, but that's how they diagnose it. I also had blood work done where they specifically looked for the candida. They showed it to me even under a microscope, and it shows sluggy, sticky blood cells. So that's how I was diagnosed. And it made sense because of all the issues I was having. I would literally eat wheat and like my whole body would itch from head to toe. It was horrible. And I don't have any restrictions. I don't not eat gluten or anything like that. I know I need to be careful with gluten because it does affect me, but I eat all food groups. I don't believe in restricting food groups except for short amounts of time so that we can heal our gut.
Okay, wonderful. Now, last, Monica could use some help. She said she's got Goiter's on her thyroid, and so that's hypothyroidism. She was told that she will eventually have Hashimoto's. She said that hers has actually gotten worse while on Plexus. Could it be from the Goiter's? And please advise. I'm assuming we probably need to look at her regimen, how much she's taking, and all of that.
For sure. And what does worse mean? Like that I would need to.
Monica, if you can unmute yourself if you're still here, we want to help you with that.
Yeah, like my levels have gotten worse each time I've gone in, so he's increased my amounts.
Okay, what are you taking?
I'm on Thyroid.
Okay, so just a disclaimer, I don't diagnose or proclaim to cure anything.
Right.
Just my opinion is that, one, I would ask your doctor about weaning off Synthroid and getting on a natural thyroid. That would be number one, because your body's battling. It's battling that you're trying to do healthy things for it and putting chemicals in at the same time. No judgment. Don't judge yourself. Don't be like, why did I do this? Why didn't I ever go with the natural? Don't do that. It doesn't help. Just make changes. My favorite quote is, I did what I knew how to do, and when I knew better, I did better. Okay? So live by that. But I would talk to your doctor about doing that. And how long have you been on Plexus?
Almost 6 years.
Okay. And have you had thyroid problems that whole time?
Yes, pretty much. I mean,
Okay.
At the beginning, it was the levels were low enough that he didn't think I needed to be on it, and I kind of put him off because when the X Factor Plus came out, I thought maybe that would help regulate. My body doesn't like the X Factor Plus that much, so I just stay with the X Factor.
Okay.
So,
I mean, I'm just making an educated guess here that, again, it's that battle between chemical and not. I would be surprised if you were able to wean and go off onto the natural thyroid if you wouldn't see more sustained levels over time.
okay.
And over time. Like, it takes time to heal. Also, are you taking Ease at all?
Yes.
Okay.
I take 3 a day every day. Some days I do double and do 6. But
Okay, good. It's hard to tell because I would have to look at your stress level. I would have to look at the food you're eating, all of those things. And it doesn't matter our stress level and doesn't matter the food we eat. I mean, it matters, but as far as plexus working, it doesn't matter. It's going to work to the level that we allow it to work. The better we eat and the less stressed we are, it's going to work more efficiently. That's just a given, right? But I would definitely address, if I had to pick one thing to address, it would be talk to your doctor about switching to a natural thyroid and see if your body doesn't like that better and regulates itself better.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you for that, Janelle. Now, everyone wants to know your exact regimen, specifically. What do you take in the morning? What do you take in, you know, everything? Dosage?
To sustain my levels. So my body likes 3 BioCleanse. That's my sweet spot with BioCleanse. So I take those in the morning. So I wake up, I do intermittent fasting, which is a miracle because I had blood sugar issues big time before. So my body really likes intermittent fasting. So I get up and I have my pink drink, and I take with my pink drink, I take BioCleanse, I take my X Factor Plus in the morning.
Just one.
Right. Yeah, no, I take X Factor in the morning. Just one, because I take the Plus at night. I take Edge. I love Edge. Oh, that was the other thing that I started with to get my energy levels up. I took an Edge every day for 9 months and then went off for a couple months, missed it. I tried MetaBurn. I liked MetaBurn. I love Edge. Edge is what speaks to my body. So don't be afraid to switch things up a little bit. Don't be afraid to, like, MetaBurn was new. I wanted to try it and I really liked it, but my body resonates with Edge. I'll drink an active from time to time. Usually if I've stayed up too late or not gotten enough sleep, I'll do an active, but I don't do that every day. So in the morning, it's pink drink, BioCleanse, X Factor, Ease. I take 3 E's in the morning usually. Sometimes I don't take E's at night. And what am I missing? My Edge in the morning, and then at night I am on 3 ProBio 5. That's my sweet spot for ProBio. And I take Mega X at night as well. And then the X Factor Plus.
And so that's your maintenance regimen. I know there were times that you were doing higher on the E's and the ProBio 5, correct?
Yeah. That's my maintenance. I feel good. I don't feel achy. When I had my adrenal crash before I started Plexus, I forgot to mention my fibromyalgia came back. Everything came back. I was in pain and swelling and tingling, neuropathy. I don't feel any of that anymore. If I overdo sugar, like I did at Christmas time, because I really don't crave sugar, I will start to feel achy again, and so I'll up my E's then.
Awesome. Okay, let's just address this last question from Carrie, because I think this might be important. Carrie said she tried numerous natural and had horrible reactions, finally determined she was reacting to the fillers. So that left her with Tirosint, a synthetic, but only 4 ingredients. So not all can take desiccated unless one exists with 0 fillers, she's asking.
I have never run into anyone with a problem because of that, so I really can't address that. Okay. I don't know. I don't really know. I think that I would have to look at the ingredients list, but I don't even know what the fillers are. So I would have to look and see.
Okay. All right. Well, oh, sorry. Go ahead.
As far as I haven't run into that, so I don't have experience with that, but you have to go with that. So I haven't run into anyone. I've run into people that don't think the natural is working for them, but they're not having a reaction to it. But over time it will. Like I said, Nicole, it took her, I think, a year for her levels to level out normally. But you have to think she'd been on Thyroid for like 17 years, you know, and so our bodies have to adjust. We have to, time is going to, just like time and consistency. I'm constantly saying that to everyone, time and consistency. So, but if you were having a reaction, then yeah, you did a good thing by not continuing it. And you just have to find what works for you, for sure.
Yeah. I love that concept of you have to retrain your thyroid to wake up, because it's been, you know, it's been taught that you're not needed, you know, step aside, and you have to teach it with that, the natural desiccated. It gives it the option to be like, oh, I remember what this is, you know, I can do that. I can produce that too. So I
Right.
love that concept. Gives
Yeah.
us so much hope. Okay, well, we're gonna go. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
I was saying, yep, it does. Hope is what it's all about.
Hope. And you're giving so many people so much hope with this call. I just am so grateful for you and Terry and your stories, and so grateful for incredible natural supplements. I really believe that God had his hand in developing these products that are blessing so many of his children and allowing us to, you know, be unleashed from prescription drugs with chemicals and side effects and long-term issues. And, you know, not to say that this is the right thing for everyone, but it's so great that we have options and alternatives, and so amazing to hear your examples. And we're just so thankful that you took the time to do this with us. So I will post this recording up. If you're not a member of my team, I'm going to share it on the Jewels page, so you can ask your upline Jewel if they can get this recording for you. I hope that this information just floods the world. We've got a message of hope here, and it needs to be shared. So thank you for joining in. Thank you, everyone. I will do my best to get samples to everyone. If you don't get a sample, please message me. I'll do my best to make sure that we get you covered to all of our guests, okay? Thanks again, Terry. Thanks, Jonelle. Thanks, everyone, for joining us, and have a wonderful night, everyone.
Thanks, Whitney.
Bye-bye.